Hey guys, Mega Man NG here, and it's time now for another weekly Flash episode review. This week we're now covering the second part of the two-part Earth-2 saga, Escape from Earth-2. So here's the deal, I'm going to provide a summary as well as what I liked and disliked about it, along with my thoughts on each of the plots. And there are two plots, but with this episode especially, there are some interesting things I will address. So without further ado, let us begin. Continuing from last week's episode, Barry has been kidnapped by Zoom. Now, the situation has changed. Zoom is on a rampage throughout Earth-2 Central City, hunting for Earth-2 Wells, and he'll stop at nothing to get him and kill him. So Wells, along with Cisco, Earth-2 Barry, aka the Nerdy Barry, and Earth-2 Iris work to get Earth-1 Barry and Jesse out of Zoom's lair. Meanwhile, at Earth-1, Geomancer is still causing trouble. And with Barry and his friends still on Earth-2, Jay takes the mantle of the Flash one more time to stop him. But with time running out, can the team be able to save the two before Zoom comes in to finish the job? Maybe they'll get help from an unlikely foe. Yeah, it isn't much of a summary to tell you this, but after the insane high amount that was last week's episode, I can say that this is okay. I did enjoy this episode, don't get me wrong, and for a second part, it was pretty good, though truthfully, Earth-2 has stayed its welcome for the cast. There are a lot of good things I liked about it. The action was good, the humor is good, and I swear they actually put more nods and whatnot. I don't think they put more nods into it. I feel that the tone this time around has gotten more serious. Cisco no longer being all jokey and whatnot after what happened last week. Now one wonders about his potential, which is why he ended up getting the same glasses that his Earth-2 self have, aka Reverb. However, what notices me more is Wells. Wells is now worried. He's freaking out. He's getting scared, and truthfully, I can't blame him. Since Zoom has now captured Barry, and he wants Wells bad. Oh, man. Though, what I do like about the episode is the fact that we actually see Earth-2 Barry do something. In Earth-2, Barry is a nerd, but I feel that I like how he put his skills to the test. Many say, especially like Joe West of Earth-2, say he's not that good. Worthless is a better term. But I disagree. After this week's episode, he was a hero, just like Earth-1 Barry. And speaking of which, we actually get to see Earth-1 Barry meet with Jesse for the first time. Seeing the two work together was pretty astounding and pretty good. Although we see now Barry now has a new technique, being able to phase out of solid objects, especially glass. You could tell from some of the scenes that he was really determined to get out, especially after he got beat up by Zoom, he was able to figure it out. But it wasn't easy. What I noticed also more is that alongside Barry and Jesse, there was a masked man. And for some reason, it was mentioned in the episode that the masked man knew Jay Garrick. Now, this could pretty much be like an important plot point. But who knows, we still have a few more episodes left, so who knows what could happen. Now, speaking of which, if there was one thing I didn't like, it was basically that the Earth-1 plot was just kind of downplayed. It wasn't really that good, especially since the villain of the week, Geomancer, didn't do much. Sure, he did level a building and whatnot, and almost leveled Star Labs. But sadly, he got himself beat by having a neck brace thing on his neck, courtesy of Caitlin. The dynamic between Jay and Caitlin continues to grow here in this episode, since especially Caitlin is so determined to help Jay. She was able to design an improved version of Velocity 8, otherwise known as Velocity 9. Velocity 9 had been perfected, and in turn, Jay was able to get his speed back. But what it also did was actually help restore Jay. I wonder if this could maybe be the way that he can get his speed back. But with what happened at the end of the episode, I'll explain it a bit in the end, but let me at least finish things up. Anyway, the Earth-2 plot was good, and it was nice seeing Killer Frost get a change of heart. She basically changed her ways and decided to help the team, albeit by force at first. Eventually, she had her moment, and it was truly good. The actress's performance really delivered here in this episode, and I liked it. She did a very good job. Least of which, all the actors did an excellent job. I really mean it. It was excellent. Although I feel that the Earth-1 plot was kind of lacking. It wasn't really that good, but I wish it could have been better. Not to mention, Earth-2 has stayed its welcome. I did enjoy it last week's episode since it provided so many tidbits. I mentioned that last week was my favorite episode of the entire series, and that's a fact. However, here it has overstayed its welcome, and it was time for them to move on. Yeah, especially what happened at the end. I mean, I can't find the right words. Just when we thought we were going to have a happy ending, and then they threw a wrench at it and it's like, nope, screw that, not going to happen. I wonder what this is going to mean, especially with next week's episode. I don't know. To be honest, I don't really know. I still can't get this out of my head with what happened. I'm more worried for Jay, though. Yeah, I really don't. I just can't find the right words. Like I said, I just can't, because the episode was good, but they had some flaws, and I mentioned the flaws already. Not to mention there was some noticeable stuff. Especially, I did mention Velocity 9, but there was also Carlos Valdez's performance as Cisco. He was excellent. Just like last week, he was excellent. And I can really relate to Cisco. I wonder if this is going to be like another plot regarding about Reverb obtaining his full potential and Cisco wondering about it. This is going to make it interesting. Although I'm more curious about two other things. Zoom's possible identity, as well as the masked man knowing Earth-2 Flash. I hope that the rest of the season can pretty much answer these two questions, because if it does, it's going to make the season all the more sweeter. And now it's time for the final verdict. Now, last week I gave it the highest rating, last week's episode, a 10 out of 10. However, for this one, I'm giving it an 8 out of 10. Don't get me wrong, the episode was very good. It was very good, but there were some flaws. I already mentioned them, like the Earth-1 subplot was not that good. And speaking of that Earth-1 subplot, Iris West meets her new editor. And for some odd reason, her new editor reminds me of J. Jonah Jameson from Spider-Man. It's no surprise, because whereas J. Jonah Jameson thinks Spider-Man is a menace, this guy thinks the Flash is not that great. And I feel this could end up being a problem down the line. So, who knows? Like I said, I give this episode, Escape from Earth-2, an 8 out of 10. It is a very good episode, a very fun episode at that, and it had somewhat of a good conclusion, but it makes you wonder what's going to happen next with the ending. If you haven't seen the episode, watch it for yourself and you'll see. So yeah, that's it for this week's episode review. I apologize if it's not to the best of interest, mind you, because yes, I'm going to be quite busy over the next few days. A lot of work, believe me. I'm not just limited to doing episode reviews. I do games, and gaming is my forte. So, next week's episode, some of the cast from Arrow are heading into Flash. Why? King Shark. Yes, King Shark is coming to the Flash. If you remember what King Shark in the previous episode, this time we're actually going to see it happen. And the way how they presented for next week reminded me of Jaws. They nailed it. They absolutely nailed it. I will be providing my thoughts on that when the moment comes. In the meantime, that's it for this review. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, please be sure to hit the like button. I always say it many times over. It does mean a lot to me. And I will see you guys next time. Oh, and if you've seen the episode, tell me what you think in the comments, okay? All right, that's it. This is Mega Man NG signing off. Peace out. Later.